Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Road to Grandmaster series. In this series, I'm taking you through the behind the scenes of the training and the battles, the ups and the downs to get to the Grandmaster title. It's currently the last quarter of 2024, and over the next few months, I'm going to be busy with quite a few things, including playing a match in Stockholm, Sweden versus none other than Pia Kramling, Grandmaster, one of the best chess players ever from Sweden, and the mother of the one and only Anna Kramling. But that will be my last competitive event of the year. I've been doing a lot of training. I've been learning a lot of new openings. I've been doing a lot of puzzle solving, and I wanted to update all of you. In this episode, I take on some of the strongest Blitz players on chess.com. They are monsters. Some of these games are rematches, and in one of them in particular, I play the legend himself, probably the strongest grandmaster in the world, Daniel Dubov. Also one of the funniest and most interesting to interview. And former world rapid champion. Well, I don't know. I mean, formerly he was a world champion of rapid. He still, it's like being president. It's like a title for life. Without further ado, let's jump into everything. The URLs to everything that I shared, including my GothamChess chessboard that's going to come out and all that, as well as the fan event in Stockholm, Sweden. All of that is coming. Don't worry. Here we go. So, now, friendly reminder, okay? I use a Chrome extension when I play on chess.com, so I can keep my nerves and focus on the chess. I did not know who I was playing at any point during any of these games. Now, this first one's a bit embarrassing. I'm not going to lie to all of you. The first one is a bit embarrassing, but I'm still going to share it because on this channel, I show you the good and the bad about myself, and I make fun of myself, and then I make fun of you, and we make fun of each other. So I opened the game with e4, and on the first move, my opponent went knight to a6. Now, this is how you know you're going to have a really stupid game. When your opponent plays knight a6, and when you take two pawns in the center, they go right back to b8. Just immediately granting you 3 moves to start the game. So I went knight to f3. Now, at this point, I assume I'm playing a grandmaster because they want to disrespect me. At this point in the tournament, I think I have 7 out of 10 points. So does my opponent. My opponent obviously played a dumb opening, but the good news for them is that it's not totally losing. It's not totally fatal. And now probably the best way for black to play is to kind of keep on the 6th rank, letting me then jump into the position. But of course, I have a big advantage now, and I've got to make it count. Now, the good news for my opponents who are grandmasters to play like this is if I beat them, they could always use the excuse that they played a stupid opening. And if they beat me, I look like a clown. So let's see what happens. Bishop to d3. Daniil here plays bishop g4, which I guess makes sense. He's trying to remove my knight. I mean, I thought bishop g4 was a bit rushed. And when I played h3, I fully expected him to go here, but he just gave me the bishop. So he gave me multiple tempi to start the game, and he gave up a bishop. So now he gave me the bishop pair, the queen and the bishop out, and yet still it's only around a +1 advantage, positionally speaking, which is kind of bananas to me. And then he puts his knight here so as to not block the bishop, and so as to stop me playing this move e5. I think a lot of moves are good here. I castled because I thought that's a very natural move. And now he played this move e5. And right away, I should have punished him. The only reason I didn't go bishop c4, which obviously threatens checkmate, is because I thought after knight gf6, it does nothing. But I have this move queen b3. So probably after bishop c4, you would need to go queen e7. And then after queen b3, attacking this pawn, like maybe he castles. And then if I take on f7, he can't take on d4 because his knight is hanging, which is sort of wild. So I should have played bishop c4, queen b3 here. I didn't see the power of that. I played the second best move. I played c3, which just safeguards my center, and I want to develop. I mean, I played that move in 0.8 seconds. And the reason is I didn't see queen b3. I mean, I kind of didn't see this idea. I also, at this point, don't really want to tank too much time because I'm like, he's playing nonsense, so, you know, let me not get too low on time. He plays knight f6. He plays bishop e7. And so now I'm like, okay, look, I got to win the game, right? I mean, he played a bad opening. He gave me the bishops. So I'm going to go knight c4. And the idea of going knight c4 is that when he castles, I'm going to put my knight on e3, and try to get into his position to d5 and f5. Here, I thought the best plan for him was to take and then try to win control of the e5 square by playing c5. This very well could be the best plan, but he just keeps the tension and plays rook e8, sort of anticipating that I'm going to play knight f5. And maybe at this point, I should change my plan into just a pawn attack, because I can push the pawns on the same side, because after g5 his knight is trapped. If he plays h6, then I play knight f5, and now I have sacrificial ideas on the h6 pawn. But I went knight f5, he went back to f8, and I just played rook e1, and I'm just maintaining an advantage. Now, what was really annoying at this point is that Daniil hasn't spent a second, right? He's played every single move instantly, which is very annoying. Now, here he finally thinks, and he plays a bad move. Like, he plays a move which stops me from going to g5, but this is just going to be a target in the future for various forms of attack. I now improve my position with bishop c4, and I was certain a knockout punch was coming, because I've got a bishop pressuring, I've got the knight pressuring, I have bishop f7, so many ideas, queen g3, he took on d4, and I spent 18 seconds on this move because I already was looking at different sacrificial ideas. For example, here, I looked at bishop takes h6. And if he takes, I have queen g3. His king moves. I take on f7, and this just looks miserable, although it's not a checkmate. Then I realized that if I go for that, if I go for a sacrifice like bishop h6 or, knight h6 is a forcing move, he has knight e5, right? It's just a fork. So I thought, you know what? Before I get into all of this battle, let me just take back. Then I'm going to do what I want to do. And I remember I played pawn takes d4, and I thought to myself, why did I not start with queen g3, threatening knight takes h6 with a pin? And if he goes to h7, now I take on f7 and I'm crushing. And guess what? Yeah, queen g3 is a bone crusher here. It is nearly completely winning on the spot. And that happens in chess. You play a move and you immediately sit there going, why didn't I play queen g3? If I go queen g3 in this game, it's a good chance I win it. I mean, he would probably need to give up some material here or go g5. I would like to think if he goes g5, I'll find a way to win. But I'm not so sure. But yes, I took back and I went, all right. Now he goes d5, which is actually kind of annoying. d5 is actually a shockingly annoying move. But here I come back, and I'm actually still better because losing this pawn, I still have attacks. He plays knight takes e4, right? Because if he takes with the pawn, I have a lot of tactics. For example, here, after pawn takes e4, I was ready again with queen g3. All of these pieces are in the attack. I mean, this looks really, really miserable for black. So he plays knight e4, gives up this pawn, and brings the knight back to f6. And here, I needed to take a deep breath and not do anything. Like, I can even trade. The reason I didn't do this is I was like, but what about queen e1? Yeah, actually, it does look pretty scary, but there's nothing. I'm totally safe. The alternative here is I can play bishop d2 and just not do anything. And after knight d5, queen d5, okay, I've got some, pressure and some ideas and stuff like that, right? So that's sort of like potentially what's on the cards. Unfortunately, here I decided to go all in. And I burned a lot of time. I burned 43 seconds working this out. And it's not a bad move. In fact, after rook e1, it's microscopically better for me. But then I panicked. Unfortunately, then I felt like I had run into a brick wall. He took my bishop, and it didn't even occur to me to play the best move on the board here. Although here I still thought I had some sort of attack. I thought, well, I'm going to take back, and then he's going to take my bishop, and then I'm going to keep attacking. Here I can sack the bishop, which is disgusting. And point being that this is actually, I thought, why would I give him the bishop when he has to take it? Now he doesn't have to do anything. He'll just go here. No, white is just better here. Like, white's just down a bishop, but has a very strong attack because black's pieces aren't in the game. I didn't do that. I went here, and he went here, and I thought, queen g4, king h8, rook e7, look at me, I'm so smart. And yeah, I mean, he can't take, because this is mate. He can't protect this pawn either. And I thought knight f6, queen h4, he still can't take. He could sack his queen, obviously, but then, I've got a queen versus a bunch of pieces. I thought, oh, I'm chilling. And unfortunately here, you know, he's one of the best, you know, creative players in the world. He just goes back to the home square. Actually, I don't even think that was the home square. I think that was the b8 knight, but it, you know, and now he guards this, he hits my rook, and unfortunately, I am just out of material. I have to move my rook. We trade queens. I don't have enough pieces. Slowly but surely, he converts, and here I resigned. I felt a little bit of pressure in this game because of the silly opening that he played. I really felt like I gotta do something. And the big moment came here when I just thought, well, I don't have anything. So, and then I went, why did I not go queen g3? And it is the best move. It's just so natural to want to stop knight e5. So I would take back on d4. But, you know, he kind of got me, you know? He kind of, I don't know why I said it like, he kind of got me, you know? He kind of, knight b8, knight a6, knight b8, you know? All bets are off once that happens, so that was tough. But I had some other really interesting games. For example, I had this game again. I don't know who I'm playing at the time of the game. I just know I'm playing a good player. This is Rudik Makarian. I really like his name because I think of the Rihanna song, Rude Boy. So whenever I play Rudik Makarian, which I think I've played him twice, I've played him... What? Okay, but those games were... Yo, I'm 0-6 against Rudik Makarian. What? How is that possible? Oh my god. And look, his rating keeps going up. Oh, he was 31-11 when I played him last time. Anyway, yeah, Rude Boy. Wow. Oh man, I must have wiped those games from my memory. Anyway, didn't know I was playing him, so psychology wasn't involved here. But I played in English, and then I played this kind of, you know, this English with knight f3, and then b3. This is called the Neo-Catalan. He played uber solid. He played the semi-Slav, bishop b2, b5, d3, and a5. I'd never seen this before, honestly. This kind of, like, aggressive queenside approach. I thought it made some sense, but I also thought, well, if I just develop my pieces, you know, not much can happen. I traded on b5 and took the c file. Now, apparently... Already, according to the computer, black is doing very well. Apparently here, I should have just played rook c1 because he's never really going to win my pawn. But, okay, I mean, I thought what I played was pretty reasonable. He brought his queen, and now I went for this central break e4. And as you see from the evaluation, the position is in the balance, but I'm down 40 seconds. I'm playing a little bit too slowly. I'm kind of sightseeing, and, you know, I'm obviously spending a little bit too much time. He takes on e4, and I play knight takes. I could have probably also moved this knight and tried to activate my bishop, but I thought this was completely fine, and I have a powerful dark squared bishop on b2. So, position is equal. He goes b4, attacking my rook on f1. I move the bishop to d4 first. The only reason I didn't go rook e1 is I thought his next move would be knight c6, and that would stop my advancement. And I did not like that my queen was in the center of the board, which is why I went here first, pushing the queen backwards, and then I went rook e1 with the idea that when he goes knight c6, now I offer the trade of bishops to improve the position of my rook. So I thought, okay, so far I'm playing pretty logically. I have my queen here. My queen is pretty active, and the position is, you know, as best as you can get against probably a very good player. Position is completely symmetrical, and he's obviously got, you know, some things that he wants to jump into the middle here. Here, for some reason, I didn't put a rook on the d file. Like, I thought about it. I thought, for like, I could play rook d1. I was somehow a little bit concerned about knight d4, but that just never works because I have rook d4. And what I think what I miscalculated is that here, I don't take that because this, I can take on c8, and then I can take back on d4. So I should put something on d1. I went e5, which is a mistake. It's an inaccuracy. But not because of the move that he plays. Like, I thought e5 makes perfect sense as I'm going to open up my light squared bishop. Apparently, not the best move. I also saw after knight d4, I can take on d4, and now the queen is hanging. So that's why he goes queen b8. And now I play the best move, which is rook d1. So rook c d1. Here's the problem. I'm down 1 minute and 20 seconds. Like, I'm slow. I can't play all these really good moves as efficiently on the clock as some of these players. Now, my opponent here does spend 1 minute. He clearly was calculating a million different things, and he ultimately goes for a line, takes, bishop e2, which, after just the simple rook e1, is just equal, and after queen b5 is actually better for me if I find the best move. Which I found. which is to go here, here, and put the rook on the file, and now I'm just slightly better. So clearly I'm fighting, all right? I'm putting up good resistance. I'm posing problems. Like right now, knight d4 is winning on the spot, right? Like that's the threat. So he has to go to the d file. But the problem when you play these 3,000 and 3,100 rated players, you can't be good for 25 moves. You got to be good for like 60. You have to play at this level consistently. And when time starts ticking and you have to make split-second decisions, you're not always going to make the best split-second decisions. For example, here, bishop f1. Now that I'm sitting here analyzing this game, I don't understand why I didn't go bishop f1. But it's because I have to make moves quickly. So I play h4, which is, h4 is the second best move according to the computer here. Just arbitrarily taking space. It's almost never, but like, you know, maybe I thought trading the bishop was bad because I wanted tactics or I wanted to move my knight. But yeah, bishop f1 is just a totally reasonable move. He goes h6, and now again, I have to make a split-second decision. Again, bishop f1 is possible, but I prepared rook c5. And I guess I expected him to be more like, you know, he plays rook d5, and I'm thinking, I thought this position was better for me than I thought. You know, but suddenly, you know, you got 18 seconds. You're suddenly like imagining a worst case scenario. And still the best move is bishop f1. But you have to be fast enough to calculate who's going to win the race to the center of the board. The answer is, okay, both of you, probably. So it's probably still equal. And here, again, I have to make a move. So I go here with the intention to play this move. And I realize right away, oh, I've messed up. Because now I don't see the pawn. So he has bishop e2, and he's and he plays this move. And the point is that now if I move my knight, he takes my center pawn. So I play the best counterattack. We go into a bishop endgame, but suddenly I'm like, oh, but he's too fast here. And I should start running my king. And the only reason I didn't run my king is because I was like, he's going to get to my pawn here. And it's true, he is. But he can't take it. I saw this and I thought, oh, I'm losing my pawn. I'm losing. No, I have bishop e8. And see, this one important defensive resource, pinning the pawn to the king to the pawn. If he goes bishop h5, now I have f4. Now I'm in time. So here I had to, you know, I didn't want to run my king because he's going to go here. But he's not fast enough to do that. He can't do that. But I have 11 seconds. So I'm like, I can't let his king get close. Bah, bah, bah. Unfortunately, I lose too much valuable time, and my pawns here are fatally weak. He's gonna get in there, win one of them. He's got an active king. I almost tricked him. Like, for example, there's no example, but like, I thought maybe he could like checkmate himself somehow, but yeah, no, it's never. I won one of the pawns. Here I thought he would like started malfunctioning a little bit, you know, but no, it was never. It was never in doubt. He made a queen and shockingly did not stalemate me. And he got a win. You know, this was a good fight. I mean, it really was, but he was the better player in the long run. And there are levels, and I still have some work to do. I can get this far in a game against these. By the way, Rude Boy is the highest rated IM in the world. His FIDE rating is 2550. He has a higher FIDE rating than like thousands of grandmasters. Maybe like 1,000, because I think there's like 1,800 grandmasters in the world. But, you know, to get this far, this dude's not that bad. Clearly, he's beat me every game we played, you know. But let it be known, nobody beats GothamChess 7 games in a row. Except, you know, maybe Hikaru or something. It was a tough game. Unfortunately, it was not meant to be. And then, lo and behold, I had a freaking rematch against Alexander Grischuk. Now, the last time that I played him, we drew. That was a crazy game. I played a Ponziani. I drew Grischuk with the Ponziani. All right, I teach the Ponziani. If you're not playing the Ponziani, I don't know what to tell you. Again, didn't know who I was up against, so I played c4. He played c6. I played my typical kind of English thing. I actually misplayed the position, which was really dumb. Not because of e5, but yeah, I went for this sequence, which is actually inaccurate against this move order by black. Here you're supposed to start with bishop e2, and when the opponent plays rook e8, you know, then and only then do you put the moves on the board. But queen c2, e5, and I played very fast in the opening. I went for this line with knight b5 and knight d6, and suddenly I was like, oh my god, I misplayed this. And I'll tell you again, like, what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to play, like, for instance, bishop e2, rook e8, h3, e5, take. You have, like, knight b5 always. And the difference is your queen is not on c2. And you don't allow bishop g4. Very subtle, but that's the difference. So suddenly against Grischuk, I'm like, what am I doing? I just played the wrong system. I straight up played the wrong system, and I'm very close to being much worse. For example, this e4, white resigns. Just straight up resigns. You lose material. Knight d4, he takes, and then and I'm thinking like, oh my god, what have I done? So suddenly I'm like trying to crawl out of a losing position with white. So I have a minute on the clock, right? I'm thinking, look at what I've given my opponent, man. Look at this. Look what I've given him. The center, the pieces. I don't know it's Grischuk, but like, this is not a good position. I'm very proud of how I handled the rest of this game. Because, again, down a minute, misplayed the opening. You know you're playing somebody good at this point in the tournament. So I said, okay, you want to fight? You got to fight. I'm going to bring my pieces to the middle. And now we're going to have a little scrap. All right, so I traded off his bishop. And I made a plan here to play knight f5. I'm trying to play pretty quickly. He plays queen e6. I immediately play my rook to the center of the board. He plays e4, which I think e4 is fine. But I was happy with the fact that my bishop was going to open up, right? So that's why I took the pawn. He took, and his idea here was to restrict my knight, which I very quickly realized. So I gave my knight a getaway square, and I thought if Alexander, I don't know who I'm playing, but if, you know, my opponent wants to play g5, this is going to be weak. And actually now my knight can go forward. I don't have to play defense. So he goes knight h7, I play knight f5, and suddenly I'm thinking, yo, I'm not worse. Queen c4. A massive comeback, like a huge comeback, big psychological comeback for me as well, because I did not have a good position. So after queen c4, b4, I'm thinking, would Magnus win this position with white? Magnus would improve his king, c5, knight d6, and probably beat whoever he's playing, right? Like, because he's the man, you know, that, like, he beats people from these positions. So my opponent goes knight g5, I improve the position of my king. My opponent goes knight b4, playing pretty quickly. I play bishop d4 to avoid the fork, and I'm thinking, dude, I'm better. I just need to manage my time well. 28 seconds is more than I had against Rude, boy. But again, I'm trying not to blunder. Rook d7. Okay, so what are we doing here? What are we? I play a3. I spent too much time on this move. I should have went c5 and knight d6. c5, knight d6, but okay, there's nothing wrong with a3. And when he goes here, I go to the open file. This was my point, is that now I force the knight in, but I take the open file. He goes rook e6. Now I play my idea c5 pretty quickly. He goes knight f7. I play rook b6, the best move. I'm trying to trade and get my pawn even closer to promotion, and then maybe zigzag. Just don't hang a fork. Maybe play king g3. He trades with me. I thought, this is an improvement. My pawn's going up the board. I'm pretty happy. And by the way, look at the time. It's 10-19. Like, this is a massive comeback. Now, at this point, I again play the best move. It's very easy here with white to just autopilot trade the knights. But I think, what about knight g3? I'm threatening knight e4 and rook d3. I'm about to win a pawn. He goes knight b5 and straight up gives up this pawn, completely blunders it. And that was sort of my point was that he can't protect these pieces. And if his knight leaves, I win by going take, knight e4, you know? This is child's play. So when I went knight g3 with 8 seconds, even though my opponent had 19, I actually thought here for the first time this game, I think I'm playing for a win. Like, before I was playing to, like, stabilize. Now I'm playing for a win. And when he went here, I went, excuse me? And very simple point. After knight takes d4, I have rook takes d3, and black can resign. I don't take that knight. I take the knight on d3. So he goes knight e5. Now I have 6 seconds. See, again, this is a little bit of the problem, is that I just don't leave myself enough time for the ultra-critical moments of the game. It's hard to make moves fast. But what ends up happening to me is I play slow, and then I have to make moves fast later in the game. Now, the move that I thought I played here was smart. I will remove the evaluation bar. You know, again, the best move is knight c5, which in a nutshell is a fork, but it's more than a fork. The point is that now I take on e5. And I'm unpinned. If he takes with the rook, I take the pawn. If he takes like this, I can win in a handful of ways, but I mean, even just improving my king is probably winning. Also a4, a5, rook d7. Like, yeah, for example, rook d7 doesn't work. Take, knight a3, knight c4. I guess there's knight e5 and the game goes on, but that's the point. I go here, which I didn't think was stupid. I gave up a pawn but I got to the 8th rank, and then my plan had been to go forward, but then I realized he put, so I went, okay, back to g3, rook c7, knight f5 is my new idea. And here I got tricked. With 5 seconds on the clock, he went knight c4. And I thought, well, I can't protect my pawn. So I can either play rook c7 and knight f5, or start with the attack on the rook. He'll move and then I'll go rook c7. Like I thought knight f5, rook d7. But then, so, you know, it's a 50-50. I have a split second to make a decision. The reason why this is better is because I don't go knight f5, I take on b7. I at least get the pawn first, then I'm looking at, you know, knight f5. What I didn't realize is not only does this move attack my rook, so I cannot take, right? It also allows rook d7, which is defended by the knight, which defends the entire 7th rank. And I tried my best. This is still equal because of how active my position is. But h5 is the top line of the computer. This is so sick. Grischuk is so freaking good. The best move here for black is to give up his own pawn. Just give it up completely. The point is, if I take, I can only artificially restrict the king, and rook d5 is always a thing. It's the best move because now I don't have any forward momentum, and if I play something like h6, he just plays g6. It's insane, you know? Like, the whole point that I had after this was to go h5, and now he's restricted, and I always threaten checkmate. Yeah, when he went h5, I was like, uh-oh. And now, the 3-time World Blitz champion, despite giving up the pawn on b7 and me fighting, unfortunately here, and it's equal. I mean, I was equal for 50 moves. For 50 moves, but sadly, he picked up a pawn. It's actually still equal with best play, and I got a pawn, but the problem is he walked his king too far, and even here, it's a draw. But I flagged. I ran out of time at the very end. Here, he's attacking my knight, but it's a fake attack. I have king g1. The threat was mate. He was threatening mate. But now he's not threatening mate because of king h2. No, sorry, because of knight f1 check. Oh my god. And if king e2, there's this, and if this, I mean, I can take on a6. Oh man. It was even equal all the way to the end, but I lost some time. I actually thought I was already losing because I didn't see king g1, but okay, I had 3 seconds. There's a video where I lost 3 games, and they were all lost in, you know, in different forms. These 2 games were very close. They were close for, you know, 80 to 90% of the game, but ultimately, the end game, a little bit inefficient time management, getting me to that good position. I just have to speed up a little bit. It's not just as simple as, like, play moves quickly, but in a nutshell, that's sort of what it is. And yeah, Dubov, you know, he waved the flag in front of me, and I was a bull, and he tried to be the matador, and I missed this one key attacking resource a little bit, and I saw it a little bit too late, and then here, I tried to go all in, but you know, I probably should have just chilled out, kept improving my position slowly. And, you know, you can play bishop d2 here in 5 seconds. You can just be like, oh, just bishop d2. But you can also play bishop h6 in 45 seconds, inefficiently manage your time, not handle the attack the right way, and then lose. But we live, we learn, we get better. Road to GM is not always going to be wins. I hope you enjoyed. I mean, that day I played almost the entire Olympic team of Russia. I played Yan Nepomniachtchi, Rude Boy, Grischuk, Dubov. I played 4 Russians, bro, and all their ratings were above 3. Okay, Dubov 2998, doesn't matter. So, fun times, fun opponents. We keep getting better. Friendly reminder about everything that I covered in the introduction. Ticket links coming soon to everything. Chess League 2.0 drops December 13th. Mark your calendars. That's all I have. Get out of here.